Brown County Commission meeting to order. We will start off with the pledge. Commissioner Weiss, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone.
Good
morning.
First item, we have the approval of the agenda. Is there any corrections?
Move to approve.
I second it. Moved by Sutton, second by Pfeiffer to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agenda is approved. Next item, we have Erica Coughlin, HR, and Roxy Hilgenberg, Welfare, regarding personnel. Step on up.
Good morning, Vernon.
Feels like Groundhog's Day.
I did. I didn't think about that. Did you see a shadow?
Apparently did.
That's okay. Winter has been very calm this year, knock on wood, and we're down on the downhill slide. So
We'll
if we
take
get a
this
blizzard,
forward.
hey, if we get a blizzard, we're okay.
It won't last long now.
Okay, after Roxy and I had more discussion, she said that the person she would need in her office wouldn't need to be there part-time
Right.
unless she were out of the office. So then that leaded to the conversation about me putting the person in my office for up to like 32 to 35 weeks. And then hours a week, sorry, 32 to 35 hours a week, putting that person in my office and then cross-training them over to Roxy's office. So if it's not a payroll week or benefits statements don't need to be done, they would step down to Roxy's office. Roxy could cross-train this person. So if Roxy were to be gone, the phone calls could be transferred up to this person, or if Roxy needed to be out for an illness or surgery, then this person could take phone calls, handle Roxy's paperwork, bills, anything else that needed to be done for Roxy's office.
Right.
So I guess it's just a request to, instead of splitting it 70-30 or 80-20, just basically putting this person in my office full-time or 32 to 35 hours a week and then cross-training them over to Roxy's office.
I think that's a good plan.
I mean, I just don't need someone there all the time. Things have changed in
Well,
that
have you
department.
cross-trained and
Right.
there on an as-need basis.
So that they're available when needed. Right.
Yeah, or if heaven forbid you take a vacation day.
Vacation? Are we ever going to be able to go anywhere?
I guess I'll just refer to my comments from last week. I completely agree with cross-training and making sure that we have some backup coverage, but I'm still of the mindset I don't think we need another full-time person in those departments, and I probably will not support the motion just like last week.
So basically, it's just a matter of, you were gonna change the job description to reflect what we were looking for last week. So now you'll just go back to probably the same job description you were going to use, with the understanding that that person will
Just
be
able to cover
cross-trained
it.
and be brought up to speed with what goes on in the welfare
Yes,
department.
correct. Yeah, I'll change the wording. Instead of
Right.
doing specific things for Roxy's office, it'll be cross-training in the welfare office.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
filling in as needed.
Correct.
One of the questions I guess I've got is, with the Executime, having bought the Executime program, and I know working somewhat a little bit through the auditor's office, just wondering, do you need somebody in your, additional person in your office? Or could you, and you tried to hire a part-time person and struggled with that, and I just wondered if there, I mean, do you need somebody in your office, I guess, 30% of the time or 35% of the time?
To be able to maintain some of my federal compliance fees, yes.
Even with the new Executime program helping you out as far as getting that work done quicker?
Yes, because it would be taking that payroll piece off of Kathy and putting it in my office. So even though we have the Executime piece of it, it's still going through and verifying the payroll piece of it. So making sure that the employees are signing off, making sure the managers are signing off, and then it would come into the HR office. The HR office would go through, and that's the payroll piece that Kathy's office is currently doing right now is all the inputting. And that's what this person would do. Instead of a manual input, it would be an electronic input into the Encode system. And then Kathy's office would finish the rest of that payroll piece of it, where it would be the direct deposits and the ACH piece of it.
So basically picking off then the information that's in there and doing actually writing the checks,
Yeah, we would cut all the checks.
Yeah.
The problem we run into now is if we verify and try to reconcile the information and it's discrepant, we don't know why. And so we have to go find Erica and find out why. And we don't necessarily need to know why either. Like, we don't need to know, why somebody's changing their benefits. We don't need to know why somebody, sick leave is being adjusted. Those are things that my office doesn't need to do to cut the check. So it's a little bit of a challenge because we identify a problem, but we have no way to solve it without going to chase down Erica. So having somebody in Human Resources who would already be familiar with the personnel issues and be familiar with why the benefits were changing or why the payroll didn't balance would be beneficial. So it's time consuming for us because it's like a stop and go while we're waiting for it.
So it would actually take pressure off your office or your personnel too.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
So, the way I understand it, we have one in welfare, we have one in HR. Either one gets sick, we have nobody to cover it. I don't know how many remember when we went through this and we got penalties and had a mess for how many months because we didn't have anybody covering one department when we had the HR mess. I don't know how many remember that, but I was the chair at that time and it was a fiasco by not having somebody able to do payroll. Now, Erica was sick for a month. Do we have somebody that can do payroll? Let me ask that.
Is ExecuTime in right now? When does that come in?
I'm hoping it will be live by August.
Because when we authorized that, we were told that that was worth half a person to have that software. And we were also told that chief deputy position in the auditor's office, we upped the salary for that 6, 8, how many thousands of dollars a year or two ago. Because that person was going to be the point person on the payroll. So while I agree with you, we don't want to be back
That
where
person
we were.
will still be conducting the same payroll functions of cutting the checks and doing the direct deposit.
So I agree with you that we don't want to be back where we were. We made changes at that time to fix this. So what I'm saying is, not only have we done a couple things to fix it, but now we're going further and adding another person. And if that's what this body wants to do, that's fine, but I don't believe you when you act like we haven't done anything for those situations.
Well, and the other thing is policy manual. We got a sick bank, and our policy is outdated compared to what we changed the sick bank. Well, we've had requests to the sick bank, so here we sit. We got a request to the sick bank, and our policy isn't updated. Well, Erica, right now, the way this current system is, she doesn't have time to update our policies. So what happens? We got an outdated policy, and we got people requiring the sick bank. So what does the sick bank do? Where's our guidelines? Because our old sick bank doesn't apply to the new rules since we changed it.
We did take on some work of reconciling the bills, which is a human resource function, and right away, back in March of 18, just because we were transitioning from quarter 4, which was a mess, so we were able to clean it up. We're also transitioning HR directors, but the work has not been able to shift back.
I guess I just have a problem when we come ask for a person, we think we need half and half, and then the next week we're like, well, maybe only here. Is it well thought out? I'm questioning whether it's well thought out. This is a big decision to add an FTE to the county, and we need to know exactly what the person's going to be doing and where they're going to be. And should it be partly in the auditor's office? Maybe. I guess I feel like it's not very well thought out when we're making these changes on the fly week to week.
So if Erica gets sick, can the auditor's office do payroll?
Yes, we could. But should we? We would need access to like personnel files. We would know who changed benefits. There'd be a lot of information we would be missing because we've restricted it to human resources.
Well, the thing too is you've changed 2 positions for sure just within the last couple of months, so that is your office able to really just pick it up too, or where does that load go?
In an emergency situation, yes, we could conduct the payroll. But it would be a true emergency situation.
So just to recap, the request is for an FTE, which qualifies them for benefits and so forth. They're anticipating under most circumstances that's going to be 32 hours a week. Could go with 40 on a demand basis if there's a situation, but on a regular basis, you're anticipating 32 hours.
Yes. And the reason I started out with part-time is because I thought I could fill that part-time position. And we just didn't get the qualified applicants. I mean, I got one application for it. Since the last commission meeting about the full-time person, I've gotten 3 phone calls on it, saying I thought this job was out there. And I've had to tell them we are going to rediscuss it today, and then hopefully this week it'll be back out there. So, I guess, in looking at applications that other departments get, they want the full-time position, they want the benefits, and so that's why I'm pulling back from 40 hours down to 32 hours to make that minimum for them to be able to have benefits. And then they can cross-train with Roxy and I. We have the work out there for this person to do. It's not that this person is going to be sitting there twiddling their thumbs. This person is going to have work to do. I have enough stuff in my office to do. I'm sure Roxy has stuff at her office she can do if, say, she doesn't get Chris next year. This person could hop down there and scan maybe a couple times a week, worst case scenario.
And if they're doing payroll, even, now or after the conversion, they can get comfortable with working with your office to expedite whenever there are questions to be able to get them resolved on a timely basis.
The idea is Human Resources would provide us with a voucher already balanced for the Delta Dental bill. So all we have to do is cut the check. But right now, we're having to go through and figure out why the bill says we owe $1,000, but we only collected $900 from employees. And to figure that out, we need to know that employee information, and that's a piece of the puzzle the auditor's office missing, which is fine, because we decided we should keep that in Human Resources. And I would say we've done a great job of reducing interdepartmental or inter-annex gossip since Erica has started. There's been a lot of reduction on that, which is part to this separation and keeping the information about employees truly in Human Resources. But that's why the vouchers need to come from Human Resources already balanced, directing us what to pay. So we're missing that piece here, and that's where this part-time HR person would be able to do that voucher reconciliation and present it to us. So we're temporarily doing that. I call it temporarily, but it's been almost 2 years now, doing that HR portion, and it's just been getting too much. We saw with this last 2020, it stretched my office way too thin. And now we're out some of our top employees because it was just too much at one time.
We go to the idea of what happens with HR. Well, the auditor said in emergency they can do payroll. Well, Roxy's out for a month. Who's doing welfare? Do we have anybody?
You've been in that situation.
Right.
That's
We
why I
don't
think-
have anybody.
That's why I think this
In
proposed
Erica's,
plan
in a
is a good idea.
situation where Erica goes and she's out for 6 weeks on some emergency surgery, we would literally just be like getting the bare bones payroll check. If someone needed to update benefits, someone needed to make changes, needed to change their retirement, wanted to file for retirement, we would be struggling to fulfill those requests because they truly are a human resource function. And we would not have access to her office or the information or any of that with the employee.
So what are we offering then for salary?
When Patty was here, Patty was the part-time person. She was at 19 and change an hour. When Aaron and Andrea were here, they were at 22 and 23 an hour. So I can do a range on it from 19 to 23, but it's going to depend on experience, on how much experience they have in human resources.
I mean, you take like 20% or something out of her budget and then the rest out of your budget?
I take it all out of my budget. And then say if Roxy were gone for 3 months, then at that time I could roll it over to her budget, but this person would just be cross-training into Roxy's area.
A tough one.
I understand, Rachel, we've added some things to make things easier, but also we went from 3.5 people, we would be going to 2.5. So we're still down one full person.
Plus some very expensive software.
Right, but and before this all happened, we had realized we had a problem with our software with, we've got people spending how many hours in the jail trying to do their sundial because nothing matches in it.
On the software, the annual maintenance fee we pay doesn't change within code 10. So So we're actually going to be reducing our licensing through our current records filing system, which is annually $11,000 a year. So in time, this will pay for itself, because the licensing fee won't increase, and we're going to actually decrease the current licensing fee, because we will no longer need the service.
I guess the main reason why I'll probably go ahead and support is because I think the auditor's office really, and Kathy explained that, really doesn't need to be directly involved in what's going on as far as the inputs into the program and for sick leave and all those things. I just think we don't need to be adding on, but on the other hand, and more employees and spending more money, but on the other hand, we're maybe not doing as good a job as we could, and we've really made some progress, major good progress in the HR department, so I think with that.
Well, unfortunately, it begs the question, what's it gonna cost us if we don't? We've been there.
Right.
You know, I don't disagree with you, Rachel, with your statements there. I think we tried our best to be bare bones. It was just too much. That's the bottom line from my office anyway. It was just too much. We tried to do too much with too little.
I would make a motion that we support the proposal that's been put forth today by these two for hiring a full-time HR assistant to be cross-trained with welfare.
We have a
And
motion from Sutton.
Instead of splitting the wages, it'll all be in HR
Full-time
budget.
HR, right.
Correct, okay,
Same proposal, it's just your budget unless there's an extended period of time.
correct.
Second. A motion from Sutton, second from Weiss, to entertain hiring a person full-time for HR and also cross-trained for welfare
32 hours.
at 32 hours. Correct. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Hope not.
Next item, we have the bid award for the rental equipment for the highway department. Is Gert here?
That's, engineers come in.
Looks like he's on the phone.
Yep, no, I'm listening. You got any questions?
Oh, you're on the phone, okay.
Looking for dirt.
We couldn't see ya.
There's Steve.
Oh, it's not a pretty picture.
He's on the phone.
Yeah, it's not all bad, probably.
We know.
Just the pocket.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? So what's the plan, Dirk, for the rental on the highway equipment?
Well, the bid tab there would be a compilation of what we opened last week. So I would recommend that we accept them based on availability and location. So that's my first statement about that. I would like to accept what's in front of you.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Kepley, second by Pfeiffer, to accept the bid awards for rental equipment on location, depending on location and availability.
There he is. Now there's a picture of him.
Okay, now we got it. Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, do we have a part two?
Not that it needs official action, but I wanted to follow up on Commissioner Sutton's comment. It's going to be a twofold process, and I'll visit with Kathy a little bit to try to come up with a way to kind of streamline that. And one thing we can do is, I don't know that we necessarily need to bid every single item that we have in there. When I've looked back over the last few years, there's actually only a couple of those things outside of trucking where we've exceeded the bid minimum or the 25,000, say like to hire somebody to, run the excavator. We don't get over the bid threshold. So there may be a way to, first off, streamline the number of things we have there, and then I want to visit with Kathy about the legal side of how we can do that. That was all my comment about that.
I miss the days of the double bevel blades and all the rest of that stuff we used to have in there too.
Yeah, that's all I could think of when I was visiting with Dwayne. I thought you'd have really loved this back in the day. I mean, it was literally 2 to 2.5 hours of just opening that stuff up. It was insane.
Yep.
So it has gotten better.
Sounds good.
Well, I guess my concern is that, it seems like ever so slowly, ever so gradually, we kind of reduce what the public actually has access to, and for the folks that watch these meetings on a regular basis, and there are people out there that watch this stuff, and they take an interest in it, and when we reduce the opportunity or take away some of the opportunity to witness these things, it cuts the public out. And I don't know how overall how the folks that are actually making this equipment and this rental stuff available, how they feel about this, but I think that it's kind of for me, it's a little bit of a slippery slope that we reduce the opportunity for the general public to have an opportunity to participate or actually watch what we do, short of actually having to come into the auditor's office or to the highway department and actually ask for all this paperwork. And even if it's just a handful of people, we're kind of reducing the opportunity for those folks to have access to it. For whatever all that's worth, that's my concern about it.
Commissioner Fikert, I get where you're coming from, but I don't think that might be one way of looking at it, but I'm also looking at it that, just like Commissioner Weiss said, we don't bid those double beveled cutting edges anymore because they're antiquated. And so I don't think it's like we're trying to hide anything. We're trying to be a little more efficient. We didn't bid any cable-operated cranes either because, they've been worked out of the process. So I don't think that would be a huge deal, and maybe I'm missing it there. But I don't, it's more streamlining it is rather than like limiting people's access to it, I guess, is the way I'm looking at it.
I wonder what Minnehaha County, Davison County, Pennington County versus, like, say, for example, McPherson or Edmonds or Campbell, Walworth. I wonder what the difference is there. I guess I'd be curious as to how the bigger counties, highway departments, how they operate or manage this particular situation.
Well, I guess my smart alecky answer is they got about 4 more office staff than I do. But the Davison County probably isn't the best example. And I don't know, there's 65 other counties. I don't know everybody bids this stuff. But I know when people buy off of our bids, I don't think the breadth, the width or the extent of the items, I don't think other counties bid that to where, we have everything kind of at a phone call if we wanted to. So I think our situation is a little hybrid, and I would imagine in Minnehaha County, they're a lot more specific and a lot more defined on what they're asking for. Ours is a little bit so we're prepared if something crazy happens or if we get cornered on time and we have to hire somebody. And I can sure look around, but the goal certainly isn't to hide anything from anybody. They sure seem to be able to find us when something's wrong. So I don't know that, I don't think that's a big concern, but I don't have my pulse on the taxpayers of the counties like you guys.
Well, I think, from the standpoint of rental equipment, you're absolutely right. We're kind of a unique situation here, being as large as we are and as lean as we are. And it's obvious that those that are making the offerings are also interested to see what everybody else is putting on the table for a benchmark, simply by their participation to physically be here and take notes when we open those up to see what they are. So I'm not real uncomfortable with the process, but if there are a few items that, you know, historically we haven't been anywhere close to where, you know, the bid requirements require that we open them up and stuff, you might be able to take a few of those things out. But, you know, the other extreme of the example is, you know, some of the, you know, the gravel and the asphalt and the road oil, the per unit price isn't very much, but when we buy as much as we do in volume, some of those items can get to be worth a couple $1 million.
When I voiced my concern on this, I certainly wasn't trying to keep anything from the public, and the plan that I proposed to Dirk, you know, was to have everything opened, and then you compile the sheet, get it back to us the next week, like you did this week, so that we could look it over and approve it. But this bid in particular that we do every year is unique. I'm not referring to like bidding a new road grader or a new loader or something like that, where you're getting competitive bids and then you award the bid to the cheapest bidder. In this case, for the last now 13 years, we've always just rubber stamped every bid that comes through, so it just seems like an effort in futility to have to go through just to rubber stamp and approve everything anyway. You know, it's not as if we're buying a pickup or a grader or something. We're approving every single bid every year. So I'm just trying to maybe streamline the process a little bit.
Yeah, I think we can do that. I think we can streamline it a little bit and not compromise transparency. I really don't. I think it's just kind of putting a little effort into the documents and stuff. I think we could do that without too much, you know, too much challenge.
I don't think that the gravel, hot mix, the oil is such an issue. I think that could be done as usual, because it doesn't take that long. The issue becomes when we get into all these rentals. We got all these entities putting these rental bids in that are 10 pages long. How do you adjust something like that, where your oil, your gravel, it's pretty easy to go through those because you've got 4 or 5 bidders. You get in this rental thing, I mean, it's unbelievable how many are in the packet. That's the only thing I see is the hang-up, is the rental stuff gets to be quite a lengthy situation.
Yeah, and that's going to be the first thing I'll do is you go through there and we can put a little specificity into that and ask for certain loaders and certain sized, you know, excavators and things like that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Just kind of a little more definition over specifically what we're looking for, and that should pin it down a little bit. And just for the point of our discussion, just so you know, the reason that we award that way, location and availability, is until you know where you're going to need the piece of equipment, you don't even know who's low bidder based on how far it is from anywhere else. So that's why we word that way, because I don't know, you know, I don't know which culverts are going to blow out when we're busy and we have to rent an excavator. And if you got to haul it down there or hire somebody to do it themselves, depending on where it's at, it might be cheaper for contractor A in the west half of the county, and it's cheaper to hire B in the east half of the county. So that's kind of why that happens that way.
Hey, does anybody else have anything for Dirk? Dirk, you have anything for us, or you got everything? Have you spoke your piece?
Yeah, I think so. No, we started crushing yesterday in the backyard. Excuse me. Started crushing yesterday. We're still doing some treeing and stacking up picking up rock piles. So we're doing a pretty good job of staying occupied, and that's okay that we're not plowing snow.
Okay.
Well, it scares me to say it, but use your best judgment.
Okay, I'll tell you what happened the last time somebody told me that.
Okay, I think that concludes everything we've got to do there.
Thanks,
Dirk.
Thank you, guys, and you got anything that comes up later in the week, just call me.
Will do.
Okay, thanks. That concludes everything on the agenda. Does anybody have anything else to come before the commission?
We've got our construction contract, I think.
Yes, we still got this list yet.
Okay,
Yep.
I was just checking the agenda items.
Yeah, I think that you guys want to go ahead and do that right now?
Okay, Kathy.
They're here for the landfill cell 4 contract. I don't know if you guys got a chance to read this yet.
Cliff notes are available online.
Yeah, short version.
Looks like the
Yeah,
board
sorry I
of
didn't
Care
email it.
Yeah, it's a standard contract. We get the send the agreement, we bind the full book, give it to Ross, take a look at, review for approval. Ross gives blessing.
I didn't see any issues.
He actually read it.
Yeah, I went through it for all the stuff that you
Legal.
filled in, just to see if there's any
Yeah.
discrepancies there. I didn't see any, so.
So when the complete, and what's the timeframe?
The time frame is, substantial completion is August, final will be September.
They're gonna have most of the dirt moved in
Yep.
another 10 days.
Yeah, based on their construction schedule, they're working the first month and a half of the year here. and then-
Unbelievable the way they're going.
Yeah, I think Dennis is out there. Yeah,
Oh, my goodness, no frost.
Yeah.
yeah, they've
Well,
got
it ain't
what,
got
10
time, it ain't got time to freeze.
Yeah, they had to rip some initially, but,
Not very deep, though.
yeah, they were able to get through it. and
Yeah, they were moving, what, between probably 25 and 30,000 yards a day?
Seemed to be
That's
there
right
again.
around
Yeah.
900 to 1,000 loads
Yeah.
they're moving with the scrapers a day. It's just, yeah.
I suppose this weekend, with the temperature getting down to 10, 15 below, might slow them up for a few days, because I can't imagine they wouldn't have some gelling problems unless they're loading them up with number one
You
fuel.
could have number one in if they're gonna work when it's that cold.
Yeah, so they're working 10 days, 10 days.
7 to 7.
Yeah. It's kind of a little abnormal that they started before we have a signed contract per se, but, and I told them, they want to get started right away. I said, the risk is on you, but I feel it's pretty low. It's going to be an issue on the agreement.
I'm glad they did.
Yep. I'll
Yeah.
move to approve the contracts.
Second it.
We got a motion by Sutton, a second by Piker to approve the landfill cell 4 contract. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have a contract.
All right, we're in business.
Let's go.
When
And
will
I
it
don't
be
know if I'll be
signed?
here on Thursday.
Yeah, like I said, it's
We'll have them
open.
signed today.
Okay.
It's open
I'll take
if anybody wants to come.
Another copy.
What time?
I suppose 11:30ish. They're bringing their food wagon down from North Dakota, so they're gonna feed all their staff and anybody else that wants to come.
Over, that's Thursday?
Thursday.
Yeah.
How big a crew they got?
I don't know, there must be
12,
15.
15. They got 11 scrapers there running, plus foremen
And
foremen.
mechanic and,
Mm-hmm.
so we'll have everything set up over in our shop over on that side.
Good deal.
Good. Sorry.
We'll feed who's ever coming.
Sounds good, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Hey Kathy, you wanna go through the rest of your agenda?
We have minutes from January 26th general meeting.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss to approve the general meeting minutes of January 26th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Claims and payroll.
Second.
Moved by Kifley, second by Piker to approve claims and payroll. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
HR report.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Piker, second by Weiss to approve the HR report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Leases.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Kifley to approve the leases. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Claim assignment.
Move.
Second.
We have a motion by Sutton, a second by Piker to approve the claim assignments. Is that the thing you wanted to talk about as far as the change?
We've already made that change a
Okay.
few months ago.
Okay. The claim assignments will now be approved by the auditor's office rather than chair of the commission.
So they're still being approved by commissioners, but the auditor will sign the contract,
Right.
since the contract is in the auditor's name.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Auditor's report of account.
Second.
Moved by Kifley, second by Weiss to approve the auditor's report of account. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Department of Health, Community Health Service contract.
Move. Second.
Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss, to approve the Department of Health Community Health Service contract. The increase was like about 2%, I think it said,
Yeah.
on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Abatement?
Move.
Second. Moved by Sutton, second by Weiss, to approve the abatements. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do you have any public comment to come before the commission today?
I'd received a call yesterday from Patricia Kendall at the museum. They're planning through the Dakota Prairie Museum Foundation to do some upgrades to the third floor and basement of the museum. So they're in the process of working through bids and lining that work up. So she was just wondering to what extent we wanted to hear from her. And just in visiting briefly with a couple of you, it sounds like we should have her come over and lay out a plan just so that everyone's aware of what's going on, since it is a county-owned building, and the benefit to the county by upgrading those areas. And, you know, we won't be authorizing any spending authority because there's no county funds involved. It's all the foundation. So I'll reach out to her today and just have her put together a brief presentation, come over and present it to us in the next
Great.
couple of weeks.
Is there anything that the auditor's office, or as far as going into a public building, improvements into a public building, does the commission have to authorize or approve the accepting of that, or how does that all work?
I guess that's why I kind of sent out the question, not knowing.
I'm looking at it this morning. I guess the way that I would assume we should do it would be authorize the work, and then when it's done, just accept it as a donation.
That's why, that way it's on public record, that it actually somehow has to be entered into the minutes.
And we'll make sure all the contractors are licensed and insured properly, and we have copies of that on file.
Because I know even in the legislature, like any of the foundations for the universities and stuff, actually appropriations approves that.
Right.
And then they move forward with it.
Because at the end of the day, it will benefit the museum, the county by benefiting the museum.
Exactly.
Then upgrade to that, our facility.
It becomes county property and we're responsible for it.
Correct.
Anything else to come before the commission?
I'd like an exec for personnel.
Before we do that, I wondered if we could put on the agenda, should we do something with that CARES Act funding, maybe designated into a capital improvement fund?
Yeah, that's absolutely, you certainly can, it's up to you guys. For when you're ready to do that, it's available, we have not spent any of it.
Can we put it on the agenda for next week if nobody's opposed,
Yeah,
just so we don't
Good idea.
leave it lingering?
Yeah, I feel like if you just leave it in there, it'll just
Gonna-
slowly get...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's do that, it's for next week, if everybody's good with that.
Sounds great.
I also had a Tom Kroyman reach out. They're starting that capital campaign for the Gifts from Veterans Committee for the Common Ground fundraising campaign, and he just reached out and wondered what the county might be willing to jump in and help with, and so I told him I'd meet with them, but I'll encourage him to come here when they have concrete plans and talk to the commission in its entirety. And then the last thing I had was reach out to your 4-H kids. They're selling fruit this month. I know you got grandkids, so till the end of February, they're doing their fundraiser for the year. That's all I had.
Move that we go into exec for personnel.
Second.
Motion by Sutton, second by Kempley to go into personnel for exec. Pat, did you have something?
New golden tickets for you.
Oh.
Key fobs that don't expire if you don't use them.
If you
Very
don't
good.
use them,
Oh, is that what the issue was, their fob expired?
Well, it's, the doors usually open in
Yeah.
10 years, so they never fob, and after 30 days it locks the fob, so.
Got this one back, right?
Yep.
I have a couple preliminary plans to talk to you about.
Come down.
When you guys are done.
Okay.
And go over the ordinance with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll come down. And then we gotta talk about it.
Out with the old and in with the new, huh?
The identical. just
all I have is the
doesn't-
sticky one.
I get this.
I can get you a different one if you want for next week.
Oh, you can't forget about that.
You probably use yours more frequently.
My,
That one's going to court for sure.
my little fob like that is my pickup.
See,
But I've
that's
got-
the problem.
I've got a little dot on the back that I always use.
So you can get that in this
I'll just
version?
get- Yeah, I'll just get you.
Okay.
Oh, that's not terrible.
So you want my old one back?
At
I've
some
had it
point.
100 times today.
You don't have to run up there now.
So we have to uncover this and make it work.
So you'll bring me that in this version next week?
I would.
Okay.
We hadn't
Well,
done
if you
yet.
don't,
We got-
if you don't use them within 30 days, they lock out, and then
Mine's been working.
you probably use it more.
I want to keep that one. Mine still works if it quits working.
It's just when you come here to, and the door's open, people
Yeah.
use this fob, then you
I
can.
got that one and that one and. let's use my
You gotta go
city.
watch this guy's son play basketball. He's a gunner.
Oh, the little guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fat, that's his gift, he's not very big, but.
Okay, we had a motion and a second to go
Thank
to
you.
exec. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yes, please.
We are in exec for personnel. We got hung up just for a second.
Are we hung up? On the phone?
We are back on, no action as a result of exec. So that was for personnel only.
Okay.
And Eric and Ross were two of the participants. Anything else to come before the commission?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Kipley, second by Sutton.